starting on the 16th for a week. And if you like what you just saw, please tell people about it and tell them that it will play here for at least a week starting on November 16th. Let them experience what you just did, okay? Now, we have 3 people here that just want to run down these stairs and talk to you folks. So I'm going to get out of the way. So please, Sara, Terry, and Jana, join me down here, please. And I have something that, when I first watched this here, probably about a month ago, the thing that really caught my eye was the very luminous black and white photography. Yeah. And my question is, why black and white?
Jana, what do you think about Jana's writing? Sara's performance.
That's literally the first question we get asked every time we show this, and at this point, I'm at a point where about 17 scenes from the end, I'm like, oh yeah, I know where we are exactly in the film. But anyway, black and white really was, the story's about drought. It's about drought of the land and of the characters' lives and of the mind of Perry's character, Sam. And we filmed it in the worst drought in California since the drought of 1976. So we actually lucked out that there was a drought. Exactly. And Perry also was a big fan of the old westerns, black and white films growing up, and he never saw it any other way. Really, it was really just felt like it was the only way to make this movie. It was in black and white. Is that the way?
Yeah, that's it.
He usually says it, but pretty much just like that.
Any questions? Anybody got any questions for
Where in California?
What's that?
Where in California?
Where in California? It's it's on my ranch that we shot it. That was always the idea. Jana, we kind of did it backwards when we started working on this. Jana wrote a story that fit the location, which is not normal to do that, but it worked out great. And my ranch is about 10 minutes from where they discovered gold in 1848. At Sutter's Mill, which is now called Coloma, which is El Dorado County. It's about an hour northeast of Sacramento, I'd say, and right where the American River comes out of the mountains there, the Sierra Nevadas. The American River comes out in 3 tributaries, and it creates 2 pie-shaped pieces of land. There's the Forest Hill Divide and the Georgetown Divide, and my ranch is on the Georgetown Divide, and we were trying to think of a title that was originally called Dan Always Said. And we thought we probably needed a different title. We were trying to figure it out, and Russ, our cameraman, saying, okay, let's figure it out. What, where does it take place? And I said, well, it's El Dorado County, and El Dorado is a great name for a movie, but not this one, right? And then he said, well, what else do they call it around here? And I said, well, they call it the Divide. And we looked at each other and thought, that's it, that's the name. Because it's perfect. It's not only the place, but what's going on in the characters. There's about 4 or 5 other movies called The Divide. And Hollywood being Hollywood, lots of people said to me, oh, you gotta change it, you gotta change it. And I said, screw it, it's The Divide, that's it. That's the name of this movie, and that's the end of it.
By the way, the little town where Perry's ranch is called Cool, and he always says, I'm the king of cool. It's hilarious because he is the king of cool.
I'm the only guy named King who lives there, so you talk, it's your people here.
I want to know what people want to. I guess another thing that people always ask is how we started this project, and some people probably know. I mean, I see people out here who definitely know this. But I was writing an article about Perry, and we just sort of connected on the phone. It was gonna be a one-page thing. I ended up writing a feature of, you know, four pages or 1,800 words or something, and he called me after I sent him a draft, and he said, "Oh, I love the way you write. No one's ever represented me this way." And then we just decided to work together. I had never even read a screenplay. I never dreamed of writing a screenplay, and he just sort of, I think that was appealing to you, because now that I've spent some time in Los Angeles, I realize how jaded people are and how they're trying to get results from the work they're doing, and I had no agenda other than to just write a good story, and I think that worked out well.
Let me just say that about that article, Jan, I've never been quoted accurately before in my life. Most people never are. I mean, people who interview always just make up the answers they want to hear. Janet didn't. She actually wrote down what I said. It was that's such an important thing. Janet had never written a screenplay. I'd always wanted to direct a movie my whole career as an actor, never done that. Russ Rayburn had never been the cinematographer for a feature. And I've always noticed, it always seemed to me for a long time, that the first time out of the box is often the best work anybody ever does. Their first attempt at something. And it seemed so right the way all three of us were doing something we'd never done before. You never care more than that first time, I think. And if there's any lesson to me from this film, I mean, there's a lot of lessons, and I learned so much, but one principal thing I learned is, for everybody out there that has something they want to do, something you really have been burning to get to in your life, do it. Do it. Don't wait. Just do it. This was never done anything so satisfying in my life. And I think you feel the same. And it's just, it's so, I'm so glad we did this. That's all.
When we started working on this, Finn, who's right over here, he's going to be mad at me for pointing at him. He wasn't even 6 years old, and now he's going to be 14 in March. So it just shows what a long process it is, but we just kept plugging away, and really because our goal was just to make a movie that we were proud of. We weren't thinking, let's make a lot of money, good thing we didn't. Let's get this to a big studio.
We spent a lot of money.
Yeah, so I think that's part of why it worked. But someone asked Sarah, Sarah is so amazing. We call her, I think of her, when she arrives, it changes the whole pace of the movie. And I call her the cavalry. So I really love it when she arrives. Getting to meet her here today too, and the fact that her daughter goes to Boston University, so it was a chance for her to come here, but the fact that she flew in from Los Angeles and came up here means a lot to me, so.
Yeah. I think Sarah, I've been an actor half a century, and Sarah's work in this film is so brave on so many levels. First of all, really, and I've told you that, but it requires you, the part, to be so unlikable, so off-putting for so long. It takes real courage to do that. Then from the very beginning, I said, no makeup on anybody in this movie. There's no makeup on anyone. I never have ever understood why, if we're trying to be real people, why we put makeup on ourselves in these movies, So I said, no. And I wanted, Russ and I talked about the photography, we wanted to look as rough and as beaten by life as we could. And that in Hollywood takes incredible guts. I believe you've been given a lot of crap about that.
Yeah,
you can see how beautiful it is and how she looks in life.
Well, I have a couple things to say about this.
Tell them about how you put on your makeup.
Well, I started traveling this morning at 4 o'clock in the morning to get here in time for the screening, but it was a little bit of a cluster. It just ended up, we literally just got here. I changed my shoes in the parking lot, so he's like, I see that. So, yeah, I have gotten a lot of flack for doing this movie. My manager was like, you can't show this to anybody. Which I think is so funny, it's like, I don't know,
Can you believe that? That's Hollywood. That's the way it works.
well, I mean, there's so much pressure on women to look
Yeah.
a certain way, to be a certain thing, and I am a little weird. Like, my grandmother was half Cherokee Indian, and she always had like really long hair, and it was white, and I remember sitting on the floor, oh my God, I'm gonna get a little emotional, sorry. I remember sitting on the floor watching her like roll her hair up thinking, God, that's just so beautiful. There's so much wisdom and grace in that, do you know what I mean? And we want to turn our face away from it. We don't want to look at it, but that's one of the things that I really liked about making this movie is that, yes, it's brave. I did have moments where I was like, oh my God, what am I doing? Everybody's going to see what I look like. And it's like, that's kind of it. Like, that's what I look like. And the more we get okay with, yeah, that's what I look like, then, you know, and the other aspects of the character that I built on are, this is a woman who obviously she's had a rough go of it. Like, whatever happened is either her doing or her father's doing, or, you know, she's just trying to navigate her stuff and trying to figure out everything. And when he said no makeup, I was like, absolutely, yes. So my makeup routine was to walk to the back of my truck, grab all the dirt off the dumpster, not the dumpster, the
Bumper.
my God, guys, I'm having a hard time right now. Off the bumper, rub it on my face, sit down on the ground, go like this, roll over, do the same thing on my front, and that was it.
Yeah.
And there's something really refreshing about that, because usually when you work on set, it's an hour in the chair, then you go to set, and somebody's always constantly touching you, and it like takes you in and out of what you're supposed to be doing, especially when you're doing work like this. And one of the amazing, for me, one of the highlights of this experience, first of all, Jana, Perry, and I all stayed at his house. So at night or during the day we would shoot, and then we would go back to the house, we would workshop, we would rehearse, we would prepare for the next day.
Just have fun.
That is a gift. That is a gift, to be able to rehearse the material before. We shot in sequence 90% of the time, so all of the scenes kind of built on one thing on top of another on top of another. It was a really creatively fulfilling experience in that way.
I should have explained it because maybe people don't understand that you never shoot a film in sequence. I've only done one other thing in sequence, and the reason is, excuse me, the reason is because it's economically terrible to shoot in sequence. We lit that barn 6 different times in order to shoot this film in sequence, and the 6th time the crew was saying, damn it, haven't we done this before? You know, I had to say, though, I swear to you, it's valuable, it's important to do it. You never do that. The first assistant director, when he saw my schedule for this, he said, if you shoot this film this way, you will fail. Because it was in sequence. He completely redone it. And I said, no, throw your stuff out. I never asked him to do that. Go back. So it's, we broke a lot of rules with this, and boy, I loved it. That's the best part of this was the rules we broke doing this film.
How long did it take you to film it?
It's, we shot 5 6-day weeks, which is one of the things that we changed. If Hollywood had, if we'd gotten funding from Hollywood, we would have had about 12 shooting days. Instead, we had 30. Because that was another thing that I'd always seen was in every set I ever worked on, some multi-million-dollar movies. From the moment you get there, all you hear is, hurry up, come on, we're behind schedule, we're losing the light, hurry, hurry, and it infects your work. But we had time, didn't we? We just proceeded at our own pace. If it wasn't there, we kept working on it until we got there. It's very satisfying. Here, Jana, you talk.
What questions?
First of all, congratulations. It was a fantastic movie. Did exactly what you want. There was a roller coaster of emotions, the highs, the lows, totally in the moment. I have 2 questions. One is first directed to Sara and then one to the crew. Is how did you cry on command like that? You're just there and it's here.
I don't, you know, okay. Couple of days.
That's the
awesome.
third way she's brave. That's the third bravery.
I've been doing this a long time. Cry on command, it's like if you rehearse something enough and you can't force it, but you start to get to a place where you trust yourself that it's either gonna be there or it's not, and that lets it go, and then it always happens if you just let it go. But I wasn't trying to do that. In fact, it was interesting because I had a pretty long time to prepare, longer than most parts that I've had a chance to work on, which was amazing. I had a couple months to prepare for this, in fact, and Perry and I had rehearsals when he was in Los Angeles before he went up, and so I had a lot of time. And the thing that I kept coming into with this character, which is funny because it actually didn't end up in the movie this way, is that the entire time she's very barely keeping a lid on it. Do you know what I mean? And the way that started to come out for me when we got up there and we started shooting is like in the kitchen scene where I'm turning around, like I was so upset at that moment that I had to keep walking out of the room. Then that was one of the first scenes that we did, because it's right after I got there, and I literally at some point was like, oh my God, Perry, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get through this. Like, I'm just gonna be crying the entire time. I could feel it, I was so connected. He and I had such a great connection, everything was there. And I'm not an actor who really works a lot on my personal experience. That's just not the way I do this. I actually have a friend in the audience that we both studied the same type of acting, and it's brilliant. It's very imaginative based. It's not like, you know, you're gonna sit around and talk about when your dog died when you were 4. Who cares? It's play. It's a make-believe, you know what I mean? But this character, I connected to me so personally because it was like my mom, and she died just really, like, not very far before this movie took place. And I kept thinking about her because she was a single mom in the 70s. I was born in 76, so this is like the time. And that was just like, look at me right now. It's like, it's right there. She's a country person. I grew up in the country. I grew up in a place that looks a lot like this. And life was hard for her. And there's beauty and intelligence to these types of women and these types of character that immediately I was like, oh, that's where it is. It's right here. So for me, building on the character was more like, how am I going to cover? How am I going to? And a lot of times I lean on Harry, like, please help me. I don't. Did that answer your question? I'm not sure. I was just,
See, that's the third way that I said that Sarah was so great. She told me early on, she said, I almost didn't take this part because I don't want to go where I have to go to play it. And I would each day just say, jump off the cliff, just jump off. Don't judge where you're gonna go, let it happen. And she was so, I mean, we almost couldn't have done this film without her. It was so crucial that once I knew you, that you do this part. You know, an ordinary actress tries to cry. A real actress like Sara, that's what I called you in the film, I just said it again, Sara. She tries not to cry. That's real. I mean, it was so brave of you to do this on so many levels. I mean that. You know it.
You know, I was going to add too, I mean, it's personal on a lot of levels because I think most people, if they live long enough, they're going to have experience with Alzheimer's. Right?
Yeah.
I guarantee you that, right?
Yeah.
So it's personal in a lot of ways. So the second question I had was, while you were staying on Perry